Yeah, so obviously the big change to the game this year is we've now got Formula 2 in the game as well. So not only are we replicating the full Formula 1 2019 season, but we also have the Formula 2 2018 feeder season in there. So you'll start your career with 3 events in Formula 2, which will then take you through into Formula 1. But also post-launch we'll be patching in the Formula 2 2019 season as well as a free update. So we're going to include the full Formula 2 season, so you can go into championships, you can do a full season, all of the races, all of the correct rules. But for the intro to the career, you'll do 3 events, and that will determine how you enter the world of Formula 1. You'll also come through with some new rival characters as well. So not only will you come through with the 4 Formula 1 drivers this year who came through from Formula 2, but you'll also be joined by 2 rivals who you'll race within those 3 events. So there'll be 2 characters you race against. One will be seen as a more antagonistic, not very pleasant, argumentative character, and the other one will be a more friendly character who wants you to do well, and it's like based on how you behave on track will also determine how your relationship goes. Yeah, we've always wanted to include some sort of driver journey into Formula 1, and what better to do than the actual official way of doing it, which is Formula 2. I mean, this year, the Formula 2 season was, obviously last year the Formula 2 season has just provided us with 4 great drivers straight into Formula 1, so that works perfectly for us in the game as well. But then obviously we inject the player into that as well as the other 2 characters. So we've always wanted to do Formula 2, but we always wanted to do it so that it became integral to how the player then makes their way into Formula 1. Yeah, it's fantastic. We've always wanted to bring the release date a little bit earlier, so we've increased the size of the development team. So we've had not only longer to develop the game, but it's given us the opportunity to bring the release date earlier. And so at this point in the season, it's still really like nobody knows who's going to do well. Nobody's quite sure of the real performance order of the teams. There's a lot of excitement around it, and we want players to be able to experience that in the game as well at this point. Yeah, it's given us the opportunity to not only recreate Formula 2, which is a huge undertaking because we've had to implement it as we would correctly with the Formula 1, so the rules are very different, the structure of practice and qualifying is different, and obviously the Monaco weekend's different because of the structure, again, of how the qualifying works. So that was a huge amount of work. We also wanted to do more with the multiplayer as well, so we've included the league system, so now you can actually create and run leagues within the game, which is something that we've never been able to do before. So that's a huge step forward for us. And there's the multiplayer car that you've now got in game, which has got all the customization elements. So not only has it allowed us to bring the release date earlier, but it's allowed us to really increase the content and gameplay that we've got in the game. Yeah, we actually increased the size of the development team by about a third. So that's allowing now for always a team to be working a game ahead. So we're always now getting ahead of the game so we can start doing things like this.
And a new office in Birmingham.
Oh, it's beautiful. The new office is absolutely amazing. Yes, so in multiplayer, we've worked in collaboration with Ross Brawn and Pat Simmons to build a Formula 1 car which is based on the rules, and it's a spec car, so everybody will drive the same car, but it allows us to apply customization to it. So now you can acquire skins in the game, and there's different level of skin, and then you can change the colours on those skins as well, so you can really tailor them to how you want them to be. So they go from maybe just a simple 2 different colours, all the way up to a 4-colour skin with fancy designs and really nice imagery there for the car. So applying sponsorship and things like that, there is sponsors on some of the higher skins, fictional sponsors that just add to that level of realism. Allowing the player to add those sorts of things themselves would obviously be very problematic. You know what people always apply to cars when, you need to be able to moderate what somebody applies to a car. Yeah, so something we've seen is a lot of people engage with the game online and they continue playing the online game way after launch. But also we realise that a lot of players don't know where to go to get the best racing. So there's always people who will have their little Discord groups and they'll discuss their league races and they'll know which night to be online and they'll know all their friends' list. But someone like me, I don't play online as often as I used to, but I might want to think, well, maybe Wednesday night every week, I know I can be free Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. So I'll do a search and I'll find a league that runs at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night, a league that's got drivers of maybe a certain standard, and I'll join that league or I'll apply to join that league, and then the owner of the league or the admins can then determine whether I'm allowed in or not. and then I will participate in those races. So it's essentially giving the player the ability to run leagues fully orchestrated from within the game. Yeah, so often what you see on TV when the race weekend finishes, the production companies cut together a highlights reel of the exciting moments of the race, and then they show that at the end of the broadcast. But we wanted to do that in game as well. So the replays are really long if you've done a long race, and we wanted to cut down the exciting moments into maybe say like a minute highlights reel, which the player can just watch those super overtakes, those great moves, and sort of then share that with their friends. So on PC you can actually export that to be a movie as well. So we haven't invited anybody to the studio this year. We'll be running a beta again in a coming week's time, so there's going to be people who'll be taking part in the beta. But we still collaborate with them and still talk to them on a regular basis. Inviting them to the studio this year has been different because of the timing of the release. And obviously, as you mentioned, we've just relocated to a new studio as well, so things are still sort of settling down there a little bit. Yeah, so only last weekend we had a team of people out at Baku, because obviously we're going to update the Formula 2 content to 2019, so they were scanning driver faces, and that's something we continue to do. So obviously every year we had all of the drivers, all of the teams, so yeah, we've got really close relationships with the teams to be able to do that. Yes, yeah, I think all the drivers are really good this year. So we've got a lot of new facial animation tech in there as well. So when they're on the podium, the way their mouths move and the way their eyes move and things, it's much more realistic. So again, that's something where we just refined it this year a little further. So we took on board some of the things people had to say on the previous year, anything that we could tweak to make it more effective. So the car-to-car collisions and things such as that, obviously rebalancing the tyre wear and damage to that area as well, because obviously they have changed, the tyre wear rates have changed this year in the sport. That's something again that we've recalibrated. So this year we've concentrated on the Senna and Prost stuff, so we've added obviously the two classic drivers and the two classic cars. Tracks are a massive time undertaking, so obviously you've got to consider that we have to keep all the current tracks up to date, and there are often circuit changes as well. So classic tracks are something that we did back in 2013. It's always something that we'd like to consider again for the future, but this year our sort of focus has been on the Formula 2, which was a huge amount of content to create, taking you into the career through the Formula 2, the multiplayer car that we've added, so there's a lot of new content in the game. So obviously building tracks is another thing that we can maybe consider for the future.